Give that guy a map. Where are you going? All right, that's my best impression of Chris Smooth, one of my favorite YouTube channels. Listen, this is a way in this episode, I want to give you a new map. Okay, so this is a map. If you're interested in a couple of reasons why you might like this episode, or you might not. So let me tell you what the episode's about. This is going to give you a new map of what is going on business-wise with small businesses right now. Because I think very few people understand what's going on. The reason why I think this is valuable, everything's moving online. Like you think of Amazon, big business online, I'm talking about small business. So if you have a restaurant, if you want to start a roofing company, or if you're working in construction, and this affects you, on small businesses are being greatly disrupted by the internet. And I don't think that people understand. People do not have the map for what the fuck is going on in today's business world. But they're making permanent decisions. You can see people right now in the middle of coronavirus, they're making decisions for their small business without understanding the factors, the forces that are affecting small business today. And it's my theory that less than 20% of small business owners actually understand what I'm going to talk about. And this is almost life or death. Very, very important. So a couple of reasons why you'd like to listen to this. One would be because you just want to know what's going on. Some people like myself, I just want to know what the fuck is going on, right? I want to understand the world. And especially something like when there's big changes, I especially want to understand. It doesn't even matter if I'm in that business. It doesn't even matter to me at all if I'm going to make a penny off that business. I want to understand because I believe, okay, my belief is that if you understand things the way they really are, if you can evolve, if you can change, if you are aware, I think that gives a wisdom because that is transferable to other areas. It gives you an open mind and it gives you kind of a sensitivity when things are changing again in your area or in another area. And I think also it's very important, I think, for man to feel a confidence that he knows what's going on. I remember one of my friends in Shanghai. He was in his 60s and he came to visit me. He lived over in Pudong. He came to Puxi and we went out and I took him out to his first Starbucks. And this is quite a few years back. And he was really proud. He kept his cup for like 2 weeks. It was a paper cup, but he cleaned it and he kept carrying it around. He went to his neighborhood. He was real proud of it. It was quite really cute, actually. Peter. Yeah, Peter was into it. Yeah. And the thing is what blew me away about him was he was from Shanghai, right? He's Shanghainese. We were walking around and I said something like, I was kind of deferring to him because he's Shanghainese, right? I'm a foreigner, right? And he said to me, he doesn't speak English, but he said to me, he's like, listen, I don't even know anything anymore. He goes, Shanghai's changed so much, like everything scares me. He goes, I don't even like to leave my neighborhood. He goes, I just came out because I wanted to meet you, and I'm having fun when I'm hanging out with you. He says, but none of this stuff I recognize anymore. He goes, it's very intimidating for me. And I realized that was really weird because I thought of him as the expert, as the Shanghainese, but he saw himself as lost in a jungle that would never go back to what he knew, to his own habitat, And so I think that being unaware of the world gives you an uneasiness. It gives you a fear. It gives you a unsureness of yourself and kind of a lack of that ability to go strike when you need to strike. Because making good decisions is about making that strike. You have to be able to make that decisive movement in order to succeed in anything, whether it's an investment in Bitcoin back in the day or anything. You have to be able to make that move. You can't just think about it. You have to actually do it, right, in order to succeed. So I think that this episode, I think personally, is very valuable, regardless of what business you're in as a man, but especially if you're looking for something new. So young guys are looking for new businesses, looking for new opportunities, people that are in jobs they fucking hate. This is really a good episode. This is like top notch, valuable information. Okay, so what's going on today in the world with small businesses? Let's go back to the way things used to be. In the old days, and this is the way most business owners started. They started, let's say, a tire company selling tires, right? I remember in my hometown, there's a place, a tire company, and they basically got their business because of their location. They're in the main road, and everybody drives by them all the time. And it was kind of on one of the better streetlights where it's easy to stop at. They had a big parking lot. They had a big sign. And, if you needed tires, they had a good reputation. And everybody, if they needed tires, they basically went to that place. Then there was a competitor moved in next door. And so they tried to take advantage of that, but it never really worked. They kind of survived the other company, but they never, because they didn't have such a good corner. So their corner was more difficult to stop on. The traffic would kind of push you forward there. And then the other one was easier to pull into, right? Nice big. It was very safe and slow. You could just pull in. And I think these things had a big effect on that business. And so they started this business, tire business, selling tires. Now, they didn't really obviously the internet didn't exist, so they didn't understand why their business worked. They just thought, we picked a good location, we're doing well. But they never imagined things could change, right? Well, things have changed. Things have changed radically. But small business owners, restaurant owners, roofers, let's say contractors, painters, electricians, plumbers, do not have the time to really understand what's going on. So I think, and you can debate this, amongst yourself, I think that most of these guys who are doing this kind of business have chosen to go the route of, hey, look, I do my business, and if anybody gives me a lead, I'll just do the work and I'll make the money. I have the license, right? I'm an electrician. I'm a plumber. You can't just do plumbing work without having a license. You need a license for most things. And so I'm pretty safe, right? And they're pretty happy. They are still making money. So you got plumbers, you got guys doing this kind of work, pretty much happy, not making probably as much. Somehow things have not quite as good as they used to be, but they can't really understand what's going on. Then you got guys who own companies, and they're really confused because leads used to come in from the phone book, right? You'd you pay for the phone book, and you would do like ads in the newspaper, and then leads would come in. We all know this is the way that it used to be. But what a lot of people don't really know, and I don't know how much you really know about the way things are today. And the problem is that it's so profitable to understand what's called lead gen. Lead generation is so fucking profitable that the guys who know lead gen, the real guys who really can do lead gen well, they don't tell you. They don't tell anybody. It's almost like a fucking secret. Okay, they're not going to tell anybody what they're doing. They're just going to keep racking up the fucking coin. And what lead gen is because these ways of getting business have disappeared. Okay, they're just gone now. I mean, they're not gone. I mean, you still drive the tire company. My dad's going to pull in there and get tires. There is still business. But costs have risen and business has gone down. So it's, it gets to the point where, you go out of business, even if you're still getting business, right? You need to make a profit. You need to grow. You need to get the best workers, right? There's a lot of things that happen when you start to lose that cream of the crop business. Bad things happen, basically. Bad things happen. You might get more dishonest people working for you. You might have more complaints. And then with the internet, with Yelp and stuff, those complaints can really hurt you, right? So there's kind of a downward slide that can happen. So it's super important to get the cream of the crop. That's why lead gen is so valuable because you can get the cream of the crop, the best, the most attractive leads for businesses, right? So, okay, let's look at the way things are today. So, again, you have the workers who kind of don't know what's going on, but they feel they're in a pretty good place. But I don't think they are, and the reason is because in the old days, you could go from being a plumber to being the owner of the plumbing company by working your way up. okay, just by working your way up, managing bigger jobs, making more money, getting contracts, and then, kind of moving to the top, right? With lead generation, okay, guys doing lead gen are now getting those cream of the crop business and handing them to your company. So the ability of you to kind of become the senior guy who gets those more kind of larger contracts, as more juicy contracts, more profitable companies that trust you, right? Because now you're more trusted, you're more experienced, right? So in the old days, you'd be able to go into, let's say, a larger building or a commercial building. Maybe you were doing houses and now you can go into a commercial building. You say, look, we've done, 1,500 houses around here. Here's the kind of work we do. We'd like to do your business. We're moving into commercial. I will personally manage this property project. Here's my experience. And the business owner would be like, totally fine. We'll let you do it. And nowadays you don't really get that same opportunity because the cream of the crop, the good leads are now going to somebody else. And what does that mean? This is what I'm trying to give you is a map of what it means. So imagine these workers at the bottom and they're pretty happy. Imagine rats or whatever running around, getting food. They're pretty happy. Things haven't really changed. Business owners, on the other hand, which was always what the American dream, right? You're going to go to be a business owner. It's the business owners that are really confused. They don't know what the fuck is going on. They literally don't know what the fuck is going on. So what business owners are doing now is they're not getting leads the way they used to get leads. So what they're doing is they are now, they tried everything, right? They paid for ads in this, they paid ads in some website that ripped them off, they paid ads here, they get very cynical. So business owners have gotten very cynical. They don't advertise anymore. They don't like to advertise if they can because it doesn't work the way it used to work, right? But the salesman always promised them. So the business owners, the way they did things before, almost on autopilot, doesn't work. But they don't really understand. They're too old, essentially, to understand lead generation. Lead generation is very complex, actually. How it works is complex, not easy to learn it. And most people, and this is why I think this episode is super valuable, that talk about lead generation are scammers. Because there are a portion of people who understand that lead gen is really hot. And so naturally they're going to want to teach this, right? And this quick money leads to scammers. And this is why someone like me, who isn't even in this business, but understands this business, is quite valuable for people because I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't do lead generation. I've seen it and I understand it. And I had small businesses and I had people that I work with that taught me what the fuck was going on. And believe me, I got a hard hit. It wasn't easy to learn what I'm going to tell you now, or a way to think that I have now. A road that I see that a lot of business owners don't see. It took me a long time to learn this. It probably took me over 10 years to kind of grasp the concepts I'm talking about here. 10 years of watching this happen. Actually more than 10 years. Probably 12 years. My mindset, and I think most business owners and most older guys are like this. They're very stubborn. And young guys don't get off the hook either. Because most young guys are completely clueless about business. They have no clue. They don't even know the basics that older guys know. And they often believe the most scammy stuff. So I'm not saying old guys are dumb. You young guys are super smart. But young guys have the opportunity to be in the driver's seat, to drive the racing car. And that's I think the way that you should think is you want to be driving that racing car. You want to be in the forefront of something that is going to be very profitable and very big in the future. It's only going to grow and give you more opportunities. And that's why I think lead gen is a real career. Okay. It's a very real career. Okay. So what is lead gen? So lead generation is, because of all the things I mentioned, people don't do things the way they used to do it. So now, how do you get leads? There's a million people selling stuff about how to get leads. But again, if those worked, then they would quickly stop working, because the way the internet works is, it's kind of hard to explain this one, but there's a limited amount of everything. Okay, so any process that you have is based on a certain kind of client. And the way to think about it is, think about a neighborhood. Okay, so you have a certain amount of young people in the neighborhood. You have a certain amount of working people. You have a certain amount of mothers, a certain amount of children, right? So let's say you want to sell toys to kids in a neighborhood. You want to open up a toy store. Well, it's limited because you know how many kids are there, how old they are, in general. Some neighborhoods don't have any kids. You know how many kids are there, and you know what they're probably going to buy, and you can say, okay, we can sell, 300 toys a weekend, 100 toys a weekend, 1,000, whatever it is, based on the number of kids in this neighborhood, okay? But after that's done, it's going to be impossible to sell more toys, because adults just don't buy blocks. Adults just don't buy train sets. You got collectors, but, realistically, they're not going to toy stores, right? So it's pretty easy to understand. What people don't understand with the internet is, the internet, as big as it is, it's still the same thing. You run into the same problem. There's only a certain amount of people. It's a little different, but it's the same concept. Is when you're doing lead gen, you're looking for customers, like those kids, those toys and the kids. And you're trying to find a certain niche of people that think a certain way, that are in a certain situation. So you're making an ad or an advertorial targeting this particular demographic. But for lead gen, too, that demographic won't last forever. Because here's why business owners never get lead gen, is because they might understand what I'm saying so far. So they say, okay, I understand there's a certain person, and then they make a system, they buy like a bunch of software, they pay for a bunch of courses, and then they get like a bunch of leads based on that. And when that runs out, that's when they get totally confused. And I can tell you this from experience. I got totally confused because I'll tell you my own experience. I was selling a training course online, okay? And it was a type of real estate training course. So I had one, not really competitor, but I had one basically company that was kind of in my niche in a way, even though they weren't selling training courses. They were kind of selling to the same people that I was selling to, which were not that common. And so once I figured out that they were my competitor, because they didn't seem like my competitor in the beginning, because they were totally different than me. But, they were selling advertisements and I was selling training. But when I realized that was actually, they were the best at finding the type of people who would buy my course, right? So once I realized that, and I realized that there was things like lookalike audiences on Facebook. And once I got a hold of their customer list, which was legally available to me, which was amazing at the time, I was able to target those people and to sell my course to this competitor. But not, again, it wasn't really a competitor. Usually they would buy both of ours. They'd buy my course and they'd buy their ads. So I found a good way to sell my course, and it was incredibly profitable. But what happened was I ran, and I thought I was done. This is the problem with lead gen, is you think, oh, I got it. I fucking did it, man. I figured it out. I figured out they're my competitor. I was super proud of myself. And so then I started selling courses like crazy. And it's so easy, man. This is great. This is ridiculous, man. I was telling everybody, you got to have your own business. You got to figure out this. You need Facebook ads, Google ads. I felt like on top of the world. And then about, I don't know how many months later, maybe 4 months later, they started getting more difficult. And I started to reach the end of my niche that I had found. So I found like a gold mine is not what you think. If you've ever been to a gold mine, I went to a gold mine in Japan, at Sado Island. There's a gold mine. And this gold mine is 374 kilometers long. So you think it's really long, right? Actually, it's not. It's a number of small, short tunnels that add up to 374 miles, or maybe kilometers. Anyway, it's 374 something miles or kilometers. Really fucking long, right? Big. This gold mine, actually supported the Japanese government during the Meiji period, when they basically broke away from their sakoku, which is their closed country of 400 years, and opened up to the West, imported Western technology, and started to copy the West and catch up to the West, right? This gold mine actually funded that whole transformation of Japan. So it's a very interesting place to go. If you ever go to Japan, and you go up to Niigata, go to Sado Island, and there's two things there to see. One is the gold mine is great, and then also they have the Sado drummers, which are fantastic. And it's also just the most beautiful island ever. It's just driving around there. It's just insane. If you can rent a car, you can rent a car when you get there. Take the boat, rent a car. It's great. Anyway, but the gold mine taught me something, is that it doesn't last forever. You're digging, and then you reach the end of it, right? So how do you get leads today? It's fucking hard, right? It's like you have to know how to spot these niches, write an ad that targets directly into these like say this neighborhood kids here. Do you live in 40, and you describe it, are you this, you have children this, here's the toy we have, you can target those people. But then as soon as those kids have all bought your toys, you need to have 500 other ideas ready to go in order to keep selling. So you need an incredible understanding of the internet, flexibility, understanding of the tools. You need a lot of things that, let's face it, older small business owners are never going to learn. But if you understand the incredible power of lead generation, then you might be willing to do this slog, this incredible, difficult education, self-education, in order to learn how things really work. And I think it's a very, very good career opportunity. And the reason why is because, one, it's the future. Two, here's the thing. Here's the fucking thing. If you can do lead gen, okay, let's say you can get leads. I was just telling somebody, okay, let's say, for example, you live in a certain town in Australia, and there are a number of roofing companies in your area. Now, let's say a roof costs $20,000. And let's say that they make, this is just random numbers, but the roofs are profitable. We know that. Let's just say there's $5,000 profit on a roof. Okay. So that roofing company in the old days could just make easy money. Once they did a roof, the neighbors would say, hey, you guys are doing a good job on my friend's roof. We need one down here. There's a guy over there. It was easy. These days, that doesn't happen. Very much less common than before. So they come in, they just do the job now, almost like a no-name company. They come in, they do the job, they make their $5,000. Now, if you were a roofing company owner and somebody told you, hey, I got a guy who wants a roof tomorrow, how much would you pay for that lead? Just think simple business. No dreams here. You make $5,000. You can do it in 2 days. $2,500 a day. Pure profit. How much would you pay for that lead? You pay pretty much. The reason is because if you don't do it, the other roofing company is going to take it. Okay, he's got a lead. He doesn't work for you. He's not your employee. Lead generation guys will not be employees, because they want to play small businesses off each other. They want to have freedom. They know they have valuable skills, and they don't want to be a slave to one business. And also, that business might not do a good job in the future. So the lead generation guys, they're looking for companies that they can trust to do the work, that they can hand off the business to, as long as they do a good job. And the minute they stop, those lead gen guys are like, going to give the lead to somebody else, right? They're going to keep getting those leads. And essentially what's happening, here's the new map, is these kids, let's just call them kids, on the internet, right? Just sitting there in dirty t-shirts, playing games, fucking around, getting leads, are becoming much more powerful than business owners. And that works on a small basis. But it even works on larger things, like selling cars, like selling large financial services, okay? Retirement. These type of things are leads. In the end, business starts with a lead. So if somebody, let's say somebody wants to buy Unblackmailable, my consulting, that would be, in the terms that I'm using, would be a lead. Somebody who wants something, right? They're decided they're going to do it, right? They want it. Now, I don't want to pay commission because let's see. I think that there are two types of ways to go in business. One is to pay a high commission, and one is to offer so much value that people come directly to you. So my model, and keep the cost so low that you can offer that value. My model is more like a Tesla. They don't advertise. What they do is they make a great product, and people want to buy that product. And that's the way that my business is structured. I don't want to pay, because I am a salesman, and I understand the sales process. And I don't want to be paying huge commissions to the middleman, because I want to put all my energy into the very, 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 very best product for the very, very, very best price. And that doesn't give me any room to be paying people in the middle, right? So that's my model. Now, other models like roofing, they're not like that. There's a ton of profit there. They're making a ton of profit. And also, solar panel installers. Like I said, plumbing businesses, painters, aluminum siding, let's see, what else? Landscaping, contractors making businesses. There's a lot of businesses like this. And they're very happy. Their business model is based on paying essentially a salesman. So a salesman in the old days used to be somebody who's a good talker, somebody who is gregarious, an extrovert. There's all these things that people think of as sales. Now, just like I talked about in my last episode, I talked about the humility, being humble when it comes to relationships with women, how I was humbled at the same day as I got the gold medal. It was like I had both experiences in the same day. And the important thing in life is to keep your ego small and to keep learning. And myself as a salesman who's always been in some kind of business development, some kind of sales, when I learned about lead gen, like I said, about 12 years ago, I was shocked because the guy that I met that was doing lead gen, he did not have any of the skills that I have at the time. He has grown so much and become a very good friend. But at the time, he was very introverted. And he would just sit in his room and just sit on his computer, eat ramen, and he would just get leads. And those leads converted to sales. And I immediately saw luckily I was able to see through my own ego. And I could see that the future of sales was completely changing. That no longer was I necessary. Well, of course, I still was for many years, but I could see the end right then. I could see that my type of style, everything I learned, was going out the window. Because this young guy had a very powerful way of selling, and he got leads, and those leads bought. You didn't have to sell them. They were already sold. Because the difference between a lead gen and a salesman goes up, talks to a lot of people. Well, lead gen kind of does too. But then once it's a lead, it's almost a sale. Because they've already narrowed it down to somebody who wants a fucking roof tomorrow, right? They know they're a buyer, and that's what they sell. They sell a lead that is already a buyer, right? They've already gone there. The system that they have has done the work that the salesman used to do and basically narrowed it down to somebody who wants to buy now in this area for this price, right? They've already got it. They've narrowed it down. But anyway, my lesson is to totally revamp my thinking about myself and realize the future of sales and the future of, I didn't know the word lead gen at the time, had changed. And I needed to learn this new thing. And I did learn this new thing. And it was incredibly, incredibly valuable for me. I got to say, even though I don't do lead gen, I just feel like, fuck, I got to tell you, man, it makes me feel so good because I see other salesmen who are lost and they're struggling and they're doing sales the way I used to do sales. And I know it's only going to get worse. Where the fact that I know lead gen and I have done lead gen for my own businesses and my real estate company I did and my other company, I've done lead gen and I learned a lot. I wouldn't say I'm a lead gen expert, but there are experts out there who are honest. Very few, but there are. So I'm going to recommend a YouTube channel now. I'll put the link in the bottom. But it's a channel called Flexible. And they are one of the very few, I would say, YouTube channels that you can trust when it comes to lead gen. They're very straightforward. Their stuff is like excellent. You will get a very good map of what I didn't talk about was the techniques. I gave you kind of a map today of the way things are, what's not working, what is working, which direction to go. Now it's up to you to learn the specifics. If you want to go, until now, this has been valuable for everybody. But now if you really want to go down the rabbit hole of doing lead gen, then you want to get into the specifics of the way that things work. And I can tell you that generally, the way that Flexible usually teaches it is you're going to make somewhat of an advertorial, which goes to a landing page, which collects a lead, basically, right? And this is kind of the process that works. And they can teach you that. And for free, you can just watch their channel. You don't have to buy anything from them. You can just watch their channel and you can learn gold. Okay, you can learn fucking gold. And I would recommend watching their channel even if you don't have any interest. I think at least for people like me, I'm just very curious, right? And for myself, I am always curious. I watch the most eclectic channels because I just want to know what's going on. I want to see different things. And I think that in the end, that variety of truth, that variety of surprising information, that variety of logic, that variety of evolution, that variety of knowledge bases. I think that together, when you learn these different eclectic areas of life, I think that it gives you kind of like what old men have in the sense that they have this wisdom. They can see trends. They can see what's going on, even if it's something brand new sometimes. Like a wise old guy can hear about something new and he's like, oh yeah, that's going the direction there. And the young guy might not see that. And I think that it comes from like this, it doesn't come from being old. It comes from the type of person that is just always learning and always doing the hard work to get into the details, not just skimming the surface, right? He actually knows stuff, right? He knows real stuff. So when he sees something new, he can kind of start to sense, oh, I see what that's doing. And they often have kind of whether they're old or not, they have this kind of sense of the direction. They have this kind of understanding, confidence. And at the same time, like I said in the beginning, they have this lack of ego. And this is my goal, is to be with it, to not be left behind, to always know, to understand this world, and to have, and that gives you not only confidence, but also gives you opportunities. And I would say that even more important than opportunities, and I would argue this is probably the most valuable thing in understanding lead gen, is that you will not waste your time going down stupid roads. And I would have to say that 80% of small business owners today are wasting their time. They're going down dead-end roads that will lead to destruction. And especially in the age where more and more and more things are being taken over by the internet. And when it comes to these local businesses, people don't, my theory in the beginning, they don't really understand that local businesses have some of the most radical changes, whether it's from the effect of companies like Yelp or the effect of what I'm talking about here, where the guy in his underwear on his computer is gaining control of your business. And I will land on one last thing that I think is quite valuable. Let's say you're a small business owner. You listen to this far and you're like, okay, I get it. I want to hire a good lead gen guy. Here's why you really need to think about that is because the lead generation guy, okay, so he is now, like I said, the gold mine is not one long tunnel. It's a million short tunnels. And he has to learn those veins of gold in your area. Okay, so he's going to learn those from trial and error. He's going to put up ads about this. Some of them will work, some won't. He's going to check the analytics. He's going to see what is working. He's going to double down and put more money on that. And then he's going to figure out trends in your business. He's going to understand where your customers come from. He's going to understand where they are. He's going to understand what they want to buy. He's going to understand what they're thinking, their alternatives, and how to get them, right? So essentially the lead gen guy, if you pay a lead gen guy, what you're doing is you're teaching the lead gen guy essentially the secrets, okay, the most valuable data in your business. You're paying him to spend money on Google and to do the hard work of analytics and to learn how your business really works. So you're basically training your competitor. You're paying your competitor to learn your business while you are not learning, because there's no way you, as the guy paying the guy, are learning the same lessons, because you won't even understand the lessons he's learning, the analytics he's going through, because you haven't taken the time. You haven't done the hard work of learning how your leads work today. So you're paying him to basically steal your business. And that's what's happening, is that lead gen guys over and over and over again are getting more and more powerful than small business owners. Small business owners are not understanding it. They can lose their business without even understanding that they lost their business because of the lead gen guy. Because they pay the lead gen guy, right? Then they treat him like shit. Because they say, oh, just give me those leads. I'm doing the work. I'm the small business owner. I'm the powerful one here. You're just a lead gen guy. Just give me the leads and I'll pay you the money. He doesn't understand that guy has tons of options and he knows his clients. He could go, that lead gen guy can become not only a business owner, but a very, very good business owner. Because what is the heart of business? The heart of business is new clients. Period. That's where it's at. If you can keep bringing in new clients, and that's what lead gen is. If you can keep bringing in those new clients, you have a future. Once you stop getting those juicy new clients, your business starts to live off of the fat of the old and slowly start to go down. So that's why for small business owners, this should be heart attack inducing episode. You need to learn a lot of shit. You need to bring your ego way the fuck down and understand that the world has totally changed. Just like I did 12 years ago when I saw that salesman of the year, all the things I valued about myself did not mean shit. This guy on his computer could get a lead to buy a house, and that person bought a house like that, and we made a commission, a big commission. And all my talk and everything didn't mean shit anymore. So I took that lump. Okay, personally, I was willing. In fact, I was happy to take that lump. When I saw that, I was in awe of this guy. I'm like, wow, fuck me. Everything has changed. And one of my characteristics of myself is I love to see where I'm wrong. And I love to change because I know that I'm wrong a lot. And I want to see that as quickly as possible so that I can have the flexibility to change my footsteps. And my pride comes from my ability to change and survive and adapt. See, my pride doesn't come from a BMW. It doesn't come from leather seats. It doesn't come from nice shoes in a nice restaurant. I would say my self-esteem or my image of myself comes from my ego, if you will. It comes from my ability to adapt, my ability to see and to be flexible. I mean, that's where I see as the gold in life, is that ability to constantly see where you're wrong, to constantly adapt, to constantly keep learning, and to constantly be brave enough, really, this word's overused, to go into these new areas where you feel like you're too old, you feel like you can't do it. Now, of course, you have to do it right. That's why I told you flexible channel, because that's a good channel you can start. You can trust them. They're good. They're going to give you a lot of good information. Nobody's perfect, but they have a lot of good information there. And you can safely start to get a new vision, get a new mindset. Where that's going to lead, I don't know. But that's my take today for small business and new maps. And this episode is extremely timely because small businesses are just getting killed by coronavirus. And I think that small business owners really need to adapt and change at a very fundamental DNA level. And it's basically understanding the internet. And that's what I'm talking about here. And for people that want to succeed in the world today, you want to succeed, you want freedom, here's the way to do it, is to get these new trends. Believe me, every business you pass today, every barbershop, every plumber, every bank, every insurance company, every retirement company, every, car company, every paint company, all these companies, they survive on leads, right? Now, there are certain leads that are much better than others, and there are leads that are worth it because this is what I'll end on. Lead generation, you can do lead generation for barbershops, but because each person only pays $10 or $20, you can't put the money in to really learn the business. It's not really worth it. So one of the keys in lead gen is choosing wisely the area that you go into. So instead of just doing the business that you're doing now, you might want to totally change and do lead gen. Look at the businesses that have the most lead gen people working in them and take a good look at them and think about it very seriously. Why? Because lead gen doesn't work for everything, just because there's so much work to put into this that you need to have something that really fucking pays. It has to really pay. Otherwise, it doesn't fuel the education and that you need. Later on, once you understand this, I think that there is possibilities for using your new knowledge to start a coffee company, to start a razor company. You can do it in these smaller, what is that? I can't think of the word, but smaller average purchase price businesses, right? You can do that if you own the business and if you see a business opportunity. You can incorporate these skills into that type of business. But I would say if you're going to start, choose the juicy ones. You really want to go to the roofing companies, the plumbing companies, the ones that it's cash, it's clear, it's easy, it's in your area, it's now. They will pay. Those are the ones I would say you want to start with. And avoid things that are just going to drag you, over the coals. Your friends, school, your dad's, automobile repair shop. There's no profit there. You need a business where there's profit. You need a business where it's clear, where it's one time, where cash changes hands, and that they are willing to give you money, because you're going to need that. You're going to need that to survive. You're going to need that. You are going to need that in order to get the education and to become the Ronin of this business, right? The man who's trained, the man who has the skills, the man who has the confidence, but he has no leader. He's on his own. He's able to walk through the world with ease because he knows his skills. If he's not appreciated in one area, he doesn't get all upset. He's not butthurt. He moves to another area. He gives the leads to somebody else. He moves on to some other better business, right? He understands that no matter how nice people are, if they're in a small money business, small profit, small average purchase price, there's no way the guy's going to be able to pay for leads. And even if he could pay for leads, let's say somebody dumb is going to pay a lead gen guy too much money. The lead gen guy still won't want to do it because he knows that it's not going to have a good future. And the lead gen guy, he wants to get into a business where, because it's like the gold mine analogy. It's not one mine. He's going to have to do the hard work of finding all those different 374 miles is short tunnels. He's going to have to do that work. So he needs to know that he's in a business that will be able to support him in this grinding hard work that he will have to do, right? In order to constantly get those leads, right? So you can't trick a good lead gen guy. You can't trick a Ronin because the Ronin knows. He knows, man. He sees the whole thing. Even if you're dumb enough to pay him too much to do it, he knows that you can't pay for very long. And he knows that it's not even good for you. So he won't want to do it. He's going to choose things that make sense for you, for him, for the client, things that have a future, right? Because that's where he wants to put his energy. Because he knows that those skills that he had as a samurai, okay, that you're learning now, those valuable skills are worth putting the time into for the future. And that his freedom is number one. And that freedom will lead to, obviously, a lack of a lot of bullshit in his life, right? So that's the ultimate goal. Freedom, lack of bullshit, choices, money, things that you want. You want a better fucking life. That's what I'm talking about here. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope that was helpful.